Yes.
So is it, can you see the presentation? Is it, do we get it or is it fun? Good. See it? All right. Okay, no pressure. Right? None. Okay. Okay. So after the completion of our leadership program here at Albertus, we believe that we may have come up with a sustainable community project that will help combat crime and behavior. The name of this project is PAVE. Our motto is paving our way today for a better tomorrow. PAVE is an acronym again for Parents Against Violence in New York City. We thought because with any new project and any new corporation that there has to be a continuing momentum. And so PAVE wanted to adopt Welch's winning theme of continuing and changing the status quo and changing the minds of the old organization. And that's one of the things that PAVE wants to do. We don't deny that there are organizations out there in the community that may have adopted the same model, but PAVE wants to be on board with the same organizations and work in collaboration so that we can all take control of our own destiny. We wanted to first look at, or try and look at the crime in New Haven and Fairhaven, because these are two of our targeted crime areas. We were looking at New Orleans, Fairhaven, and Kensington Street. And one of the things we found when we went into the crime index that 22% of larceny and theft was prevalent in New Haven, and 8% was due to aggravated assault. And when we tried to define the two, we recognized that aggravated assault were your robbery, yes, but these were assaults made with weapons, guns, knives, more serious crimes. Where larceny and theft were your iPods and your, wallets. You may have heard of youth who tend to ride on their bikes and come up to you and ask for your personal property. So we categorize that to larceny and theft. And so that's huge, and we understand that that is big. What we couldn't identify, unfortunately, in these statistics were what particular percentage were due to youth. We weren't sure if this was because this information was not necessarily available to the public, because a lot of those files are closed for juveniles, but because PAVE understands that this is an important part of the PAVE program, we're going to continue to research that. So who is PAVE? PAVE is a new and upcoming project, a community of parents working in collaboration with community organizations, parents, and youth in an attempt to curb crime in New Haven. PAVE will act as host to these three entities and in hopes of educating and empowering and helping you to build your human and social capital. So our mission, we adopted a mission, is to inform and empower youth and parents through structured educational developmental leadership programs. So PAVE thought it would be a good idea to adopt some type of team model. Because the youth we understand that this is something that can't be done alone. We want to adopt the team concept. Like I said, we know that there are other organizations in New Haven, and Ethel's going to come and talk more about those organizations. And we understand that we can't do it alone. But what PAVE wants to do is we want to bring together those that are not like-minded, if that makes sense, to possibly bring in new ideas and try and look at resolutions to help the youth along their journey. And so we thought it would be good to center the youth around those that are closer to him or her in their life and those that may be helpful along their journey. So one thing we don't want to do is we don't want to get away from the educational system. We believe education is the top of the list. We don't want to ignore that. We want to work with the schools. We want to work with, if the child needs tutoring, we want to work with those type of educational organizations to help nurture that child. PAVE will be one of those, again, acting as a host to make sure that the journey of that youth goes pretty smoothly. And then we want to make sure that their peers, those that they hang around. One of the things that I am constantly in communication about with my boys, I have 2 teenage boys, is, I don't like to say you're guilty by association, but check your friends. Who are you hanging around with? What are they talking about? What's their conversation? And that, when you hang with like minds, right? Those that are trying to go somewhere, or those with the big dreams, and those who want to aspire to be better, then you find yourself wanting to do the same thing. And then most importantly, I kept saying through this entire Capstone project was parents, exclamation point, parents, exclamation point, parents, exclamation point. There is no way that a child can succeed without a parent. And this is what PAVE recognizes, and PAVE wants to bring in a community of parents to help and assist in this venture. So when we talk about needs, the first thing that came to mind, and we've heard it through this entire leadership program constantly, Maslow's hierarchy theory of needs. And for those of you that are not familiar with Abraham Maslow, he wrote a psychology paper back in college, and the paper was entitled A Theory of Human Motivation. What I found what was interesting is that he only interviewed 1% of the students that were at college. And he didn't interview the ill or the crippled or psychotic students. He believed that those results would, be crippling. So he didn't include those in his studies. So Maslow's hierarchy of needs is a theory of human motivation, patterns in which humans move through, giving some form of direction. So I wanted to quote what Maslow said about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Maslow believes that the most basic level of needs must be met before the individual will strongly desire the second level or higher level of needs. And so we wanted to go over a few. We wanted to combat the first, which is the biggest and the most noted, and pretty much everyone starts off at the basic level of this pyramid. The physical needs of the youth, and we talk about, what we need: air, food, for the human body to be successful, to prosper. And we look at this and we may say, oh, that's pretty basic, it's insignificant, but it is significant, I think. Through the course of my children going through school, they dealt with their friends who had this basic need. One of the things that I found interesting, and I really just noticed it this year, as you travel around certain areas in New Haven and certain educational systems, high schools, they have signs on their door. And I'm paraphrasing, and they're basically saying, we will feed your children. So not only are they providing lunch and breakfast in the morning, but they're also on the off-calendar years saying that we'll take care of the needs of your children because we understand that nutrients and food is important to them, and knowing and understanding that kids can't really function if they're hungry. So we talk about this being a very simple need, but it is a very real need. And then we talk about safety. This level, I think, is more likely to be found in children, right? Because children have a greater sense of need, safety needs. They have a desire to feel safe. Unlike adults who have a safety need, their safety needs are employment, morality, health, prosperity, life insurance, a sense of feeling safety. Children just want to be safe, right? They want to be in their beds, they want to have a roof over their head, they want to be, comfortable. And then we talk about the social need, a sense of belonging, an interpersonal need. Children need to feel like they belong. When I looked at the social need, what immediately came to mind was Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, right? They're looking for outlets to feel appreciated. They're looking for outlets to feel like they belong, like they're a part of something, like they're, that they want to belong to something. And that was one of the things that registered in my mind highly when we thought about the social needs of the child. We can't get away from that. That's the generation we're in. That's where we are. I got a Facebook page because I have 2 teenage boys. I sit down and watch television with them because I have 2 teenage boys. I'm watching what they're watching, whether I like it or not, because they need to know that I care and I am interested in what they are doing. And then we talk about esteem, right? Everyone wants to feel a sense of value, whether it's from their peers or society. The youth want to feel like they're valued, like they're heard. I was watching a documentary before I came, and one of the things the commentator was saying was, listen to your youth, because they do have ideas. They are waiting simply to be heard. And while we're running around as adults and bumping our heads trying to figure out what they need, they're saying, I know what I need. I have it here. I'm just waiting for you to ask, or I'm waiting for you to hear me out. And then finally, self-actualization. Getting to the last tier on Maslow's hierarchy of needs theory, there's a desire to feel like they've accomplished something. So PAVE wants to help them along that journey and so they get to the top of that pyramid. And how does PAVE want to do that? Well, PAVE wants to adopt some of the programs here at Albertus, some of the leadership styles that we talked about. PAVE wants to be part of programs that will help promote these type of diversity and leadership programs. So we're not going to go over all of them, but I wanted to talk about a few. Now, when I see charismatic, I immediately think swag, right? With you, that's the term, that's the word, it's the swag. It's the same definition, charismatic, right? Youth are going to follow those who have that swag. Youth are going to be involved with those where they feel like they can relate. And the charismatic leader, if you remember, he grabs the attention, he gathers the attention of the room, right? The way, whether it's smoothing or cooling, however you say it, however you want to recognize it, he has the attention. And the youth today are looking at those with swag, and those, believe it or not, are your entertainers. They believe they have swag. So we understand that whatever program we adopt with PAVE and bring in, that those leaders that are going to be part of the PAVE program are going to need to have that swag. And then we talk about followership, and that's just briefly, and Ethel's going to talk more about a mentoring program where we believe that the leader or followership will come into play. And I like how Heiss talks about authoritative leadership. He lays out a clear explanation for why authority is needed in society. So we're not trying to dismiss, again, programs and structures that are in place. We're actually here to aid and help in those structures. And one of the things that I, again, talked about in the beginning of this program, in the beginning of the Capstone project, was the New Haven Police, and it just kept ringing in the back of my head. The New Haven Police have a presence in New Haven, good, bad, or indifferent. They're recognized as authoritative figures. And we need to make sure that our youth recognize that there's a certain level of respect that goes with these authoritative figures, and vice versa, right? So we want to work closely with the New Haven Police Department, and they have programs, Police Activities League, Explorers Program, and Camp Defy, that will help and aid in those youth programs. What I thought was interesting when I researched these programs was their mission statement, and I just want to quote it fairly quickly. We, the men and women of New Haven Police Department, believe shared responsibility with our community to create a safe and inclusive city. We are dedicated to providing a safe environment by targeting quality of life issues in our neighborhoods using community-based policies and strategies. So they're not trying to get away from what's important to the community. In fact, they want to be an intricate part of the community. And then participative leadership. Again, the team effort. We see the youth in the center, and we see all of those exciting people around them, encouraging him and instructing him and guiding him. We don't want to choose the programs for the child. We don't want to choose the classes for the child. We don't want to choose the child's friends. On the contrary, we actually want to be involved in a lot of those decision makings. And so at this time, I'm going to have Ethel come and talk more about the leadership programs that we were talking about, and then we're going to come back.
When Trina and I decided to do our capstone, we decided to do PAVE, and what we found out was that after many conversations was that a lot of the crime that go on here in Elm City is partially due to parents being unaware of different programs that are available to them as well as the students, the children. And we want to be that bridge to network the parents and the students with these different organizations that exist here in the community that will be beneficial for them. There are many after-school programs that have been disbarred that are the kinds of things that will actually reduce gang involvement, as Bobby Scott said. Although there are still many organizations out there, it's just letting the parents know about them and making them aware of them. Male Involvement Network. That's an organization that the objective is to help men develop his own capacity to engage positively in his children's lives, to be able to support children financially, emotionally, and socially. Now, when you hear of a single parent at home, I know I do, I automatically think, okay, that's the wife or that's the woman of the household. But many children reside in a single parent home that the father is the parent that is raising the child. So therefore, they need structure as well. This organization has a supportive community for fathers, operate as an innovative service model designed to support the development of men and their roles as fathers, and support personal economic stability in regards to education, jobs, health, and housing. They reside on 8 core fundamentals, which are education about father roles and skills, employment placement, retention, career development, family and child support to navigate the support enforcement system, being healthy, obtaining housing, legal consultation services, as well as visitation, focusing on co-parenting and outreach management cases. Also, we have, and I'm just going to touch on some of these organizations due to time. Also, another organization is the New Haven Adult Education Center, in which they offer different programs for those who have lacked going to the traditional high school and still need their education. Many programs out there for that. Youth at Work, Leadership, Education, Athletics, and Partnership, which is known as LEAP. LEAP has been existing for many years. They offer many different programs. Their objective is to develop youth to seek to be civically engaged leaders, personally and professionally, and to be responsible decision makers. What I found to be interesting about LEAP is that they will tailor these students all throughout the years and will then later employ them at their facility. They too have 4 bases in which they run their organization by, which is to be inspired to value education, self, and community, provide personal, professional skill building, expose to new ideas and relevant social issues, and change to react positively in their lives and community. They have different programs that also cater to the youth after school. And they also have some school programs, AmeriCorps, as well as LEAP Training Institute. Education on Talent Search is another organization which mentors the students and provide different educational programs after school. Kitty Cats I found to be very interesting because when discussing this, We found that, I know I experienced, because I have a 5 and 11-year-old, you can't be everywhere all the time. And they have so many different organizations that they want to partake in, and it's like, well, I can't be there, be at work, and do this and do that. So the Kitty Cabs is available for parents to make their life less stressful. And what they do is they function as a cab service for the youth. They will transport kids to and from organizations. All that you have to do is give a call. They will pick the child up and drop them off at their next destination, which many parents find to be helpful. And that's a double benefit, because the kids still get to participate in all these programs that help them in their curriculum. Junior Achievement is something that, an organization I should say, that I work closely with myself, in which I became a part of within the last 5 to 6 years at my organization. The objective of Junior Achievement is to develop personal strategies to obtain lifelong learning pursuits and career opportunities. By utilizing the program, students obtain skills pertaining to personal appearance, professional demeanor, punctuality, and written and oral communication. One program that I have found to be beneficial in my organization, in my neighborhood that I work in here in New Haven, is the Job Shadow Day, in which twice a year I network with different local high schools and with Junior Achievement, and the students will come into the place of employment and they'll learn about what we do on a daily basis and kind of like get a feel of, hey, this is the real world, this is what we do. When you dial 911, this is what happens. When you order something, this is what happens. And they get to go behind the scenes and they say, wow, so you guys do more than just cell phones? And we're like, yeah, it's a whole other world out there besides cell phones, but they get so intrigued with the cell phone and the technology. We have different testimonials from different organizations that parents as well as the youth have been involved in to show that they are beneficial. In regards to LEAP, Brandy, age 12, states, because of LEAP, I am a stronger person. LEAP taught me not to get attitudes and fight in school and at LEAP. Most of all, LEAP taught me how to work together with other people, which would enable him to have great leadership skills. Lonzo, age 13, stated, LEAP is an inspirational program that gives us many opportunities. While in LEAP, I try to learn as much as I can so I can better myself in life and become a successful man. A parent of LEAP says, LEAP is like family to our kids. My kids have done, seen things, and gone places that I would not have been able to take them. I used to say I'm a single parent, but now I'm not a single parent. LEAP shares parenting with me. And that's a good feeling and a positive for the student as well. In regards to Junior Achievement testimonials, Pamela, who I work well with Junior Achievement, who's a district manager, she says that Junior Achievement provides students with great opportunities to visit corporations and get a taste of what day-to-day life is like in the office. Employees of various corporations emphasize the importance of education, staying in school, opportunities that exist in the true meaning of networking. Students feel so important after the function and leave with a new understanding of how and what the world is like after a visit, as they leave with a business card from the employees. And I always encourage that when the students come, hey, network, talk, here's a business card. You'll be surprised how many take it and will actually reach out to you for assistance. And she goes further to say, students always ask, when is the next job visit? I love when they are motivated and excited to learn. Trina, a parent, states that Kitty Cabs have the services of Kitty Cabs available to assist me with getting my child to her after-school activities to relieve a lot of stress. As the cliche says, you can't be in two places at one time, but thanks to Kitty Cabs, I can be at work and my child day can still proceed on schedule without delays or cancellations of activities. I love the service, she says. And Edward of AT&T states that Junior Achievement, it was a privilege to participate in the program as an employee, and having high school students visiting. It serves great value to the students that participate. Initial strategies, Trina will cover.
All right, so we were talking about getting a timeline together for PAVE and trying to figure out how much time it would take and what would be significant time. And so we thought the initial stages we could recruit team members through surveymonkey.com, of course through our local high schools, in communities who are affected and non-affected. Of course, with any new program, you're going to need funding, so we'll begin the stages of soliciting funding through community banks, businesses, and community centers. Realistic or not, we're thinking 3 to 6 months. Within 3 to 6 months, we'll be putting together preparing for a kickoff. Again, introducing PAVE to organizations, to schools, handing out flyers in the interim, and interviewing more PAVE parent members. And then long term, we really got big on this. We're thinking of bringing together a symposium. We don't want to get away from that. We think that's a huge networking opportunity. Reach out to entertainment syndicates, whether local, pretty much local, obtain local advertisement, create a webinar, and again, continue to build up the client's base. And when we talk about creating a webinar, I don't know if you have teams in your home, but I have teams who give you one-word answers. And so one of the things that these webinars can do is kind of get out of them what they're interested, what they're looking for, and where their career may want to take them. Some of them don't realize what they want to do at this point, but we believe that giving them visuals and giving them something to aspire for, they may want to take part in that. And so I'm going to have Ethel come and do the projected cost analysis and then conclude.
Pulling this together, being that we are a new and upcoming organization, we were trying to do this to be both effective and economical both at the same time. So we were strategizing how we can get the word out there and be effective with it. We decided that we can do symposiums that will be free of cost. Flyers, putting them on door to door, going door to door. We average 13 cents per flyer. We could do a mailing distribution list. We will have to see how many pounds that equate to. We could partake in community calendars and use inner city news, which is free. We can attend school functions, PTO meetings, and spread the word there, free. Attend community functions, gospel fest. We can even get a table at gospel test for approximately $50. We can attend parades such as the Freddie Fix-A Parade, which is a parade that takes place in New Haven every year, which always has a great turnout and would be good for advertising, which would be free. And we will have a kickoff event. And we don't know exactly how we would derive at that amount depending on location and etc. We can also provide t-shirts and mugs at approximately $90 because, hey, you put a t-shirt on all over New Haven, people see it as advertisement, and maybe we can spread the word that way as well. Sorry, I forgot this picture is going to pop up. Okay. At this portion of the program, we have question and answers because we want to know who's paying attention. So whoever answers these questions right, you get a nice yellow bag that matches our nice yellow cupcakes that we want you to take one of.
Oh, yeah.
So, at the beginning of the slideshow, there was a saying, and it starts off by saying, paving our way today. Can anyone finish it? And do not.
I want Dr.
What
Bourgeois'
does it
notes.
say? What does it say? Go ahead, John.
All right, better tomorrow.
You don't have a pamphlet in front of you, do you? Did you cheat?
He's taking
But anyway, I know it.
I think he's brain. I'm not sure.
Okay, the next question is, in New Haven, what was the crime statistics for aggravated assault?
22%.
No. Chris, you raise your hand.
17.
20?
No.
140.
No.
14.
Can someone raise their hand?
I say 46%. I
Nope.
don't know what that number is.
14.
No.
8.
You didn't get it right, Dr. Fear. What was that?
8.
Yes, that's correct.
All right, Lauren.
And while I'm giving out the prizes, I would like to give a token to someone who I met in class last year. I left the back. I met in class last year. Class mod. And at the end of the mod, I says, hey, I'm doing my capstone next mod. Are you gonna come? She's like, oh yeah, sure. But I'm like, oh, it's so far off. She's gonna forget. I bumped into her 2 days ago. She's like, I see you Thursday. I'm like, okay. And I'm like, what's Thursday? Tuesday. She says, I see you Tuesday. I'm like, it's Tuesday. And I'm like, oh, it's the capstone. And she showed up. So I'd like to give you a token for coming and supporting us, Miss Kia. Thank you so much. And lastly, we, Trina and I, are change agents. As stated, nonviolent resistance does not seek to defeat or humiliate the opponent, but to win his friendship and understanding. The aftermath of nonviolence is the creation of the beloved community, while the aftermath of violence is tragic bitterness. And there's the references. And in conclusion, we would like to thank everyone for coming. We hope we're going to discuss continuing PAVE on, because we feel that it's a great need for it in New Haven to help curb some of the youth violence that's occurring. We're tired of seeing youth getting killed for no good reason. And hopefully we can partake in that with our program and aid the parents of New Haven as well as the youth.
Great job, guys, really. It's such an important issue and such an important cause, and I think you hit on some of the real keys of our program, bringing together people.